Hey, Jacques here. Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a team member section in Figma design using auto layout. This video, we're going to focus on, like I said, creating a section that's going to focus on different team members of a yoga fitness studio. Now, one thing, quick side note, this video is part of a large video where I'm creating an entire website design, responsive website design in Figma from scratch, and it is meant for beginners and intermediate designers as well. So even if you're a beginner, even if you're an expert, you will definitely be able to get something out of the video. So make sure to check it out. In the description below, I have the link to the full video. One thing I need to add, all the media assets and the full design of this yoga fitness studio, it is on the Figma community, also in the link below. So make sure to check it out. So let's jump into it. Let me show you how to create an awesome looking team member section on your homepage. All right, so in the next section, we're going to focus on creating a our team section. And this is part of our marketing strategy, or our conversion strategy for that matter, is to really create a section where people can be attracted to whatever's on the page and also get them to move into our sub pages. Now, what we're going to do, and I'm just going to take this class section and we're just going to move it down a little bit, and the next step is I'm going to take the frame tool and drag it onto the artboard. I'm going to make sure that my width is 1920, and we're going to activate auto layout. I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to say maybe team members. I think that's a good name for it. We're going to make sure that the height is set to hug for now. That's fine. But we got to make sure that we change the hug to fixed. We always want to avoid not doing that. Okay, now that this is added, we need to add our container as per usual. So I'm going to go back and we're going to search for container. And I'm going to take the heading because we're probably going to reuse the heading as well. I'm going to go back to team members and we're just going to paste it in right there. And as per always, we need to change it so that it's centered. Make sure that the actual artboard is also, or the frame for that matter, is also centered. I'm going to add a little bit of padding at the top and bottom. And as per usual, I'm using 96, and I'm going to be consistent throughout the entire design. All right, now that we've done that, I'm going to change the heading to our great team. And as per in the previous part of the video, we're always going to get this. This is normal. Just want to make sure that we say hug content so that I make sure that it actually has the correct width. Now with that, I'm also just going to decrease the actual spacing at the top and bottom just so that we can get something that's more closely aligned. Okay, now that we've added our heading, and as you can see, as we go through this entire design, it's getting quicker and quicker. The next step here is we're going to take the container and we are going to duplicate the container again. And when we do that, and as per usual, this is pretty typical, we need to change the actual orientation to be vertical instead of horizontal. Okay, with that done, I'm just going to delete the contents within the row, not the row itself, but the contents within. And now I'm going to zoom in and we're going to start dragging a rectangle tool. So I'm just going to drag a rectangle tool, and it's going to make sure it's fixed for now. And we're going to change that to 350 by 350. And when that's done, I'm just going to name it IMG, and we're going to group it again, and we are going to auto layout this group, and I'm going to call it call. You can see as we go through this entire design, once you get it, once you understand how Bootstrap works, once you've grasped what we're doing here, things definitely get easier. All right. One thing I want to do though is the space between this and the heading. So I want to go back to the actual frame, and we want to change this to 48. There we go. We've got good spacing. Next, I want to just add a bit of radius on this guy. And I'm going to hit my play button. My play button disappeared there. While it's loading there, definitely want to see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. While we wait for the loading, I'm just going to duplicate this guy. Duplicate it 3 times, go back to the row. We're going to change this to horizontal layout. I think having 3 is a good amount. I'm just going to go to preview, and I'm going to continue clicking on the right arrow till we get to where we want. I'm just going to go back here. Yeah, see, that looks really good, by the way. All right, so we have 3 boxes here, or 3 columns here, and I think that's a good one to have. Now I am going to make sure that it adapts to the entire width of our container. So to do that, as per usual, we're going to change this to full content. And we're going to do the same for the column itself. Make sure we full content. And I'm going to leave the height unfixed because we want to keep it at 350. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that for the others as well. And we can also say full content on that one. That's fine. But the columns, I want to keep the height to be fixed, so full content. All right, now it's evenly distributed. And when it's evenly distributed, I'm going to take this row and we're just going to add 48 so that we have that beautiful spacing. And it's consistent throughout the design. So we have that spacing here and over there. All right, now there's another plugin I want to show you that to really speed things up. And essentially what we want to add here is headshots. And throughout this design and throughout this entire video, we've been adding images by uploading, selecting our box or our rectangle tool and clicking on the right hand side and adding an image that I've sourced and downloaded, and by the way, added in the description below. But the next plugin I want to show you is actually going to speed it up and make it even easier at this point. It's called Unsplash. So when you open up your plugins and you search image, or when you search Unsplash, you will get a plugin called Unsplash. Now, as per usual, plugins do take some while, and it does take a while to load up. So we're just going to give it a second here to load up. And while it loads up, I just want to add that I think I'm getting closer to the font that I want to select for this design. We've been using just the basic Bootstrap font, and in the next few videos, we are definitely going to get closer, and we're definitely going to use a great looking font. All right, so I have the plugin kind of loaded up here. But what I want to do in the search box, I want to search for headshot because we're going to add some headshots. We can start by selecting our first rectangle or the column underneath the column, and we're going to start adding a few headshots. Now, I'm going to start with this guy right here. Let's add him in there. And that looks good, but we definitely want to adjust that. So I'm just going to drag this to the side, get rid of the actual full color. We're going to change the full. We're going to see if we can change that to crop. And the reason I'm doing that, just because I want to move him down a little bit. And I'm going to play around with his exposure a little bit. I'm just going to bring it down. I want to get some more contrasty colors in here. Just want to make sure that it looks, looks good. It looks to what I want. Bring up the temperature maybe a bit. And you know what? By the way, his background is kind of matching our slide background, which is good to see. And the highlights, we're just going to leave it as is. And the shadows, maybe up the shadow a bit. You got to play around with these settings until you get something that looks really good for you and really looks good for whatever you or your design team is looking for. Now, I'm going to do the same with the next column. Now, see how easy this is. See how easy it is to just go and select whatever you want out of this plugin and it adds it. So I definitely want a female next. So I think I'm going to choose her. I'm going to add it, see how it looks like. Most likely going to need to change, just going to remove that fill, but we're most likely going to need to change it to crop and just move her down a little bit. We are definitely going to add her. She good colors in the background there for sure. Definitely looks very much yoga-y. Just going to change this to crop and we can move her down a little bit. There we go. That looks good. I'm actually going to change her out. I've changed my mind on this one. Let's see if we can get something that looks very yoga-y. There we go. That definitely looks yoga for sure. Because we changed the crop, you're going to see that your image will stretch. So we want to change it back to full, move down to crop again. We want to move that down. All right, so that's how easy it is to add images when using that plugin. So we're getting closer. We're getting to a point where we have a great team. I want to take this row and we're just going to duplicate it. Now what I want to add is just a little paragraph at the top before we go any further. I'm going to reuse what I already have. So we have a paragraph copy right here. I'm just going to copy that. We are going to go to this row. We can essentially reuse this row, the same as what we would do in Bootstrap. And I'm just going to paste it in there, center align it. And with that center aligned, we are going to get rid of our search for image, open up Lorem Ipsum again. All right, so with this open, I'm going to select it and let's change this to one paragraph again and let's get it generated. I never like to use Lorem Ipsum right at the beginning. That's just a personal preference. Now with that done, I'm going to click on the row. Just going to add this, increase it to maybe 35. Go back and see, I see the actual paragraph copy is a little bit too much for me. So I'm going to decrease it for sure. So let's change it to about that amount. Let's see how that looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We just got to make sure the colors are consistent. Yeah, colors look good. There we go. This needs to be at 800. I'm just going to add that to 800. Let's see how that looks like. All right, getting close. Let's go ahead and change these last few images. So I'm going to go to Unsplash, open up Unsplash. We're just going to add the last 3 images. So normally it takes a second for this plugin to load up. All right, so with it loaded up, I'm just going to search headshot again. Perfect. And we're just going to scroll through this again. I'm just going to select the actual rectangle that I want to change. And we need to search for a good looking, yoga looking headshot. So at this point, I'm not really seeing anything that's going to work for what I'm looking for. And I'm going to change my search a little bit. So let's see what happens if we search yoga. Definitely not a headshot kind of look and feel here. I think that one might work. Let's see. Add it in, and of course it's going to be all stretched, so we got to change it to full, bring it back to crop, and move it down a little bit. Actually, we got to be careful here and make sure that it fits pretty good, so that the cutoff looks good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to look at preview. Yeah, we might change it later on, but for now that's good enough. All right, so I'm just scrolling through some of these images, see if we can get something that looks good. I'm going to change the yoga to fitness. Maybe we can see something that works over here. Maybe we're going to get a good looking image that we can use. Actually, let's see if this one works. So again, I'm going to change the crop to fill and then back to crop again. Perhaps move this up. It doesn't look bad. I mean, it doesn't look 100%, but normally when you initially design a website, you just want to get the ideas out there. I mean, fine-tuning images and all that kind of stuff. You normally do that right at the end. And even if you've already seen or shown your design to your project sponsors or to your clients for that matter. So at this stage of the design, it's usually just to get placeholders in. But because we're creating a video, I am just taking the extra mile and trying to get the best image. But selecting media and selecting images normally takes a considerable amount of time. I just selected the wrong imager, but let's choose her for now, and she will be our image for this right now. So I'm going to change it to crop. I'm just going to move it down. All right, let's see how this looks like. Okay, as I said, not 100%, but we're definitely going to fine tune it as we go through this. All right, so now we created an Our Team section. I'm going to add a button. We're going to say, learn more about us. I'm going to click on this section. I'm going to go to assets. I'm going to take the button and we're going to drag it in. And as per usual, as I've said throughout this entire video, it never, ever puts it where you want it to be. I'm just going to drag it into the container. I'm just going to change the wording button to learn more about us. You know what? Let's change this button up a bit. Let's make it an outline. We've been using the same button over and over, so let's use outline here just to change it up a little bit. So we're going to change the fill to outline, and it should adapt to our previous settings. I see that it did not, which is fine. We can quickly change that. I'm going to change this to 3. Oh, that's too much. Let's change that to 2. And let's change this color to our primary color. Have a look at it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. So when I use the arrows to kind of navigate between what we have, it's starting to look like something. It's starting to look like a good design. I know I'm saying that a lot, but trust me, it's getting there. Okay, so now with this done, our team section is done. The next thing I want to do, the next thing we're going to focus on is creating a call to action box. After that, we are going to create the footer. But with the call to action box, we are going to play around with a background image. We're going to add a gradient and just see where we go. So that's next up.